last season it took until Memorial Day weekend for the New York Red Bulls to register their first home win of the season. This year, it took just their second home game, the Red Bulls defeating the Columbus Crew 2-1 on Saturday night at Red Bull Arena to register their first win of the season, their first home win of the season. That was following a 1-1 draw on the road in the snow against Minnesota United. But James, Red Bulls finally on the board in the win column this year.
Yeah, it was a unfamiliar feeling for us as reporters because it took so long for us to see them win a game at home last year. And I know fans this year were waiting until the fourth match for them to get their first 3 points of the 2023 season. And it was a well-deserved win, to fight back against a team like Columbus in the way that they did, a Columbus team that's historically now in the past couple seasons known for having big lead changes in the late minutes of the game, and we got some late drama at Red Bull Arena.
Yeah, and comeback is a great word because it was not a good first half for the New York Red Bulls. Big mistake at the back, looked like a little bit of miscommunication between Carlos Coronel, Andres Reyes on a ball over the top, and Alexandru Maitan caught Coronel out of his goal for the tap-in, a bad goal to concede, and it was a half the Red Bulls didn't really create very much. It looked like a lot of the soccer that we saw at Red Bull Arena last season where the Red Bulls would struggle to score goals at times, but in the second half, the Red Bulls had firepower off the bench, and they used it. First, it was Luquinhas who got the start in the match on a rebound off a great run from Corey Burke, who was fantastic up front in that game, and that leveled the score 1-1, and the Red Bulls from there kept pushing on and on. At one point, they were playing up top with three strikers in Vanzeir, Corey Burke, and Elias Manuel, and Tom Barlow came on later to keep that three-striker look. The Red Bulls really went for it, and they got rewarded with the win. Dante Vanzeir with the game winner in the 86th minute. John Tolkien with the great ball to the back post. Vanzeir with the finish for his first goal as a Red Bull, the big money designated player signing. But really just what a win and what a performance the Red Bulls in that second half.
Yeah, and I think that first half was definitely felt like last season. You mentioned that, and I just want to harp on that again because it was a game where the Red Bulls looked like in the first few minutes, wow, they're really taking control, really
good pressing,
really threatening the Columbus back line, really putting them under a lot of pressure, and then it slowly starts to get out of their favor, and they give up a bad goal that probably was just a couple of bad bounces and a microcosm of things that just didn't go their way. But then in the second half, they really did turn around. They really did went for it. And I give Columbus some credit, too, because after the goal, they didn't sit back. They invited more pressure from New York, and New York went and gave it to them. Corey Burke was phenomenal. I think every time he had the ball, he was looking to do something interesting with it, and that's not something that the Red Bulls have always had from their strikers, where they've had ability to play with power and pace and precision, and I think Corey Burke brings that. I thought each of the goals that they scored were really collectively great plays that started higher up in the pitch. It started with Corey Burke dispossessing Philip Quinton and then running at the defense before Luquinhas tapped away the rebound, and then the second goal, it was a beautiful play. Cáceres plays Tolkien in behind perfectly. Tolkien first-time cross. And it's Barlow who actually makes a run to the front post to leave room for Vanzeir. Just a couple of great team plays, in my opinion. And I think because they had so much trouble scoring in the first three, except for Reyes' header in the snow in Minnesota, this is a promising sign of things to come in terms of how they can play in the attacking third and how can they really trouble defenses and actually put in the dagger, because this Columbus team had some experience in the inexperience in the back line, but also some pretty impressive players. Steve Moreira, Milos Degenek, they're a team that had some pedigree, and I think that the Red Bulls really had to overcome some good odds in that second half, and that was a really positive way to have done it.
Yeah, and it was a Red Bulls team that had a little bit of a different look to it with Dylan Nealis getting the start at right back. It was a flat back four. Cam Harper got pushed up into right side of midfield. And they didn't waver. Despite, the first half not really going their way and that bad mistake, the Red Bulls rallied in the second half and really were on the front foot for that entire second half at Red Bull Arena. But it was Dante Vanzeir getting the game winner in the 86th minute, his first goal of the season, his first goal as a New York Red Bull. He spoke to the media after the game. Take a listen.
Also today you see I think we dominated the game, but still on like small moments we get like a stupid goal, I think. And last games were a little bit like that. We had good moments in the game, and then on just one moment we get a goal, and I think we kept the focus, and in the second half we could turn around the game in our favor. And I think this is a little bit what MLS is like. If I compare it to Europe, after one goal, a lot of teams will try to defend as much as possible. And here, I think Columbus kept on playing a little bit, and also because of us, we created more and more space. So I think for sure, second half was very big in our favor.
So after the win against Columbus, the Red Bulls will be back in action this Saturday on the road at Charlotte. It'll be a quick 2-game road trip, 2-week-long road trip for the Red Bulls at Charlotte and then at Atlanta United. But James, for the Red Bulls, they've got the win on the board. What's key now in those games against Charlotte and Atlanta?
Well, we saw how good they were on the road last year and how difficult they made life for Minnesota and Orlando this season. They didn't get the results that they wanted in either of those matches, but I think they just keep going with this momentum now. You keep pushing the issues that you were pushing, keep the press going, and now you know that you've got the goal-scoring chops that you're going to need from your big guns. Luquinhas getting a goal is huge. That's his first goal since June of last year in the Open Cup against New York City FC. I think it's like this is a big mentality win moving forward, in my opinion. That's why I called it a must-win, even though it's only Game 4 and the regular season doesn't have as much importance. They're going to need to come in with the same mentality and the same amount of pressure against this Charlotte team that is vulnerable. That they went to Charlotte last year and struggled to put their stamp on the game, but there's a team that they know that they can beat. They beat them twice at Red Bull Arena and at MSU last year, and then Atlanta. You've got to really bring your A game because Thiago Almada's got 5 more goal contributions to his name than the New York Red Bulls have even generated this season as a team. So they've got their work cut out for them in Atlanta, and the Red Bulls have never lost to Atlanta United in regular season play. So they've got a lot to maintain. I think that Charlotte game is a bogey game because they're coming in with confidence to a team that has nothing to lose this point in the season. And then Atlanta is a team you're going to try to be knocking the Giants of the East at this point in the season off their perch. And I think the Red Bulls are going to be coming in with that away mentality that they had last year. And this win is only going to fuel that a little bit more.
So it's the Red Bulls against Charlotte this Saturday night. New York's going to be back home on April 8th to take on San Jose. That's 2 weeks from now. But for now, for myself and James, make sure to stay tuned to our coverage of the Red Bulls on Twitter all season long, these YouTube post-game reports as well. As always, James, has been a pleasure. For WFUV Sports, Nick Guzman, James Burley, thanks so much for tuning in.